Welcome guys, welcome back with another video. I want to thank everyone for joining me again on another video. And today's word is, it's about manipulation. It's about what I've noticed in the world, looking from my perspective of where I am in life at this time. I noticed that when you are a person that comes into the environments God has sent you there, you're there to uplift, you're there to change the trajectory of the environment. You're there to be a light. You're there to, overall, just you're there for change. I'm going to tell you guys that sometimes it's going to hurt as well as it's going to feel good. Change isn't always something that, we are excited, about seeing. I would advise you guys to get excited or get used to change. That's within your life. That's within, your different personal situations, with things that are professional. Go with the flow as far as that. That change is inevitable. Change happens every day. There's no day that we're here on earth that is exactly like the day before. Even if you have a routine and you typically do some of the same things, there's no day that is exactly alike. So I just say this to say that manipulation is real. And I noticed that when you have a voice, when people realize that you're paying attention or you're there and you're seeing how things can improve, a lot of people don't want to change. And again, you could be at periods in different places in your life where when you see that in your work environment, or you see that within a family dynamic where there's things that we could do to improve our relationships together, but you're the person that people don't want to really tell what needs to improve in the family, what needs to improve on this job. They don't want to hear it. So what you can do is just go within, look in your own life, look at how you have maybe resisted change in some areas of your life. Realize where you in the past have made decisions based on you needing to be in control of some situations, and admit to yourself how at that period in your life, how you were stuck or resisting to the flow of things. Because you will be manipulated into going back into the energy of what they saw you in. So if you come into an environment and you're all bubbly and positive and happy, people are going to expect you to be like that every single day. And when the day that you decide to be human and you have a rough and tough day, or you might not feel like smiling that day, you could still be bubbly on the inside, but maybe your outside does not show that, they're going to call you out. They're going to think something's wrong with you. They're going to think that that you're off just because you're not in this same energy that you presented the first day. So I've noticed that in different environments, you're not allowed to have a day where you melt down, where you're not feeling good, where maybe you might have been short. You might have been short with people, versus you listening and being there for them. Maybe you want to save your energy for the day. Maybe you don't have all that energy to be listening and, engaging in conversations. Maybe today you want to be quiet. That's not accepted. in these certain situations, in these dynamics. You will be manipulated into going back to who you are, or make sure that you're presenting that same face over and over again. Basically, make sure that you know how to fake the funk. And that even goes with being the person that speaks truth, or being the person that is there on assignment to bring change. You're going to be manipulated into or gaslit into thinking that what you're speaking is just ludicrous. You're over exaggerating. You don't know what you're talking about. You're trying to be controlling because you see that there's a need for change. You want the change to come about so that it can help possibly improve your environment, improve your relationships, improve the family dynamics. And you're going to be manipulated into just being quiet, not saying anything, that you're over exaggerating, that you're not being positive. Sometimes change is not going to sound positive. Sometimes being the change person or the truth speaker is not going to always feel good. In fact, being the person that can see what's going on and see how there can be an improvement, you will be the target. If your job description does not call for you to bring the change about in the community, you're going to be targeted as someone that is hard to work with, difficult, have an attitude, full of crap, because people rather for you to smile and grin in their face and keep going along with stuff that may hurt the environment or hurt you, your family as a whole, versus bringing about change. So that's what I have noticed. I've noticed that for those people who know that they're there for a greater purpose, know that when you do present some things that help the environment and you see that nobody's listening to them, you're not getting taken serious, you're getting gaslit into thinking that what you heard or what you observed is something that you didn't see, what you know to be something that maybe you've been trained on to improve the situation. They will make you think that you don't know what you know, that you don't know what you've learned or studied or researched. So when you get into those situations, even with friends and family members where they've done something to you, or maybe nobody's done anything to you, it's just a clash of personalities, it's a clash of different levels. You guys could be on different levels of how you intake information. Well, there's no one wrong in the situation per se, because they're looking at it from the way they was raised. They're looking at it from their perspective. What you can do is go within. So again, you just turn all of that energy into how to improve your life. There's going to be situations that you can't change, even if you know that you were sent there on assignment to bring about change. Sometimes God will just put you in that environment, see how you'll react to it when you can't change some of the situations to improve it. God will put you there to see what can you change on a smaller scale, because on a larger scale, you may not be able to bring about the change. But how can you do it in your own life? How can you do it on a smaller level while you're still in that environment? If you notice that you're talking to people and you're telling them, how possibly things can run smoother, or how, we may want to try this way so that we can bring about different results, and they're not trying to hear what you got to say, then you know that person and you may be on different frequencies. Y'all are on different levels. So in those cases, don't try to over-explain yourself. That'll make you crazy. Don't go and try to force your opinion, your views, your perspective on other people. In those cases, They're not ready. And I'm telling you this for your own good, that us people that are here to speak truth, or you may be a person that comes about things in a quiet way. You're there observing. So then when you are there and you finally start talking, people are going to think you're crazy because you started off quiet. And God forbid you now talk after you've made a good evaluation, you've seen what's going on, so that you can make suggestions to improve the situation. No, they want you to stay quiet. They want you to go back to being quiet. They want you to remain just a spectator. Now, for those of you guys that feel like you are now working on communication and learning how to communicate the things that you feel is going to help the situation, is going to improve it. So we're all at different levels. Some of you guys may be at that point where you're wanting to be vocal. I recommend you guys to go into the situation already as a vocal person, because if you start off the spectator and you're just sitting back and you're watching, so that you can make a healthy estimate or a healthy evaluation on what's going on in your environment, again, you're going to be met with a lot of resistance. They don't want to hear what you got to say. They are already used to you not saying nothing, so they want you to go back to saying nothing. If you're a person that comes in the door with a lot of opinions, then people will scatter and stay away from you if there's somebody who don't want to hear what you got to say. If there's someone who doesn't want to change, if there's someone who's not interested in how to improve the overall environment, the overall family dynamics, the overall, then you have to be the bigger person and see if these people can handle what you have to say, if they're on the same level as you so that they can understand what you're saying. And there's going to be times where you get it wrong, where you feel like this may be an environment that can benefit from some of the suggestions that I've said. And then you realize after speaking up, they don't want to hear it. Again, don't get upset about it. Everybody's on a different level in life. You know that you need to pull back, and that's where you look into your own relationships, your own life, and see how you can change, see how you can grow, see what is the overall lesson that you're learning in these situations. You can look at it from that versus being upset about the things you can't change. Because ultimately, it goes back to, this is a situation, or this is a family dynamic, or these are friendships where things will not change unless people want to change. So then you're still essentially trying to force change upon people, upon situations where they're not willing to change. It's still controlling on your end as well, because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to see it. Your way of improvement may not be something that they agree with, and that's okay. I had to learn this myself. You know what God has called you to do in some of these certain situations, and they're not ready for it. You could say all day long, you could tell everybody, look at the good. God wants you to encourage yourself. God wants you to be better, the best version of yourself. You could say all of that, but even us knowing that we may have came from difficult places where you might not have heard good messages, where you might not have heard look at the good in things, where you coming from a more negative place, a more darker place, a more place of where we got used to being in negative environments and hearing negative talk and hearing people talk, kind of reckless. It's going to be hard for you to go listen to those motivational messages until you get to a place of your life where you're ready for change, where you can handle change, where you can handle and look within yourself and see the ugliness in you, the negative inside of you. You're not going to be ready to hear no motivational messages. You're not even going to be able, you can take it in. Some of us is at the level where we can take it in, like, oh, encourage yourself. But you might not be ready for the action that comes along with encouraging yourself. That's why I advise everybody to, this time of the year, this time in your life, is important for you to do self-evaluations, to look at yourself from different perspectives, from the person who may be at a lower level within you that may be coming from a negative place. Look at yourself from the person that coming from a higher place. Look at yourself coming from a place where someone may have heard where they come from a broken background. Look at your place from someone that may came from a more healthier background, and what would be the advice that they tell you? So you can look at yourself from different perspectives, from different eyes, if you have the capability to do so. Everybody can't put themselves in other people's shoes. So even with me saying that they will manipulate you into thinking there's something wrong with you, that, oh, you want the energy in the room to change for the better, they're still going to look at you like you crazy. They're still going to want to manipulate you into thinking that you are speaking out and you're over exaggerating, or you're just making things up. You want things to go your way. Well, in a sense, they may be right. You may want to go things your way. You may want things to improve, and they're right even if they want things to stay the same and it's messed up. Because you can't force change on nobody. You can't force an environment to be healthy. You can't force people to want to look at the good in things. You can't force, so then you have to look at yourself. Is it worth you going into battle? Is it worth you being the oddball? Because some things you can change. Some things you can give good, healthy ways of responses, healthy ways to kumbaya, get everybody on the same page. You can. But the reality of it is, if that's not your job, your title on that job, there's going to be people that don't want to hear it. In the family, if they're not ready for that type of, let's come together and let's talk about our past and the things that is hidden, the things that we as a family keep a secret, some of the generational traumas that have happened. If they're not ready for that, you look crazy. You sound crazy. You got to be okay with looking crazy to people, sounding crazy to people. You might not be ready for that. You might not be ready for the backlash that comes with being the truth teller, being the outspoken one, being what they say, the black sheep, being whatever these titles and labels that we will allow ourselves to put on ourselves, allow others to place on ourselves, all so that we can keep everything the same. Now, if you've been granted wisdom and you look around and you see things from a higher perspective, or you can see it from other people's shoes, then you know that some of the things that you want to change ain't gonna change. You know that some of the generational traumas that need to be addressed in the family, people aren't ready for it. You know that there's things that's going on in people's lives where they may be at an older age, and you see it's sad that they're going to go out thinking that same stuck way that they've been. Let them live their life. Let them remain the way that they want to remain. You can't force your will. You can't force God's will onto nobody. That's for God and for that person. But what you can do is recognize that you can do something about it. You don't have to remain in those environments. Your job is by choice, so you don't have to continue to work there. Your family, yes, we didn't ask to be brought in certain families, and some people believe that we did, so that we can learn different lessons in life. But for those of us who feel like, well, we didn't ask for our family, this is what God gave us. So then you know how to maneuver in these families. You know who to fool with, who not to fool with. And if you decide to fool with everybody, you know that, hey, this person is messy, so I can't tell them my business. This person may have the ability to kill somebody if they don't get along with them. Okay, I know that I don't want to step on their toes. We have to really see and watch and feel and know what's going on around us. And it don't always call for you to be a response. It doesn't always call for you to be the person that comes in and saves the day. It's not always calling for you to speak up because you can recognize where there needs to be improvements. Sometimes it calls for you to speak up in your own personal life. Sometimes you're being called to talk to God, to bring the situations that you know you don't have the power to change. You see that there's improvement, there can be improvement. This is how we can do things. That's not for you. So I had to bring this message to you because I noticed that you're going to be met with a lot of resistance when you have something to say, when you are the truth teller, when you're here to change the dynamic, when your energy alone changes different rooms, different people, different groups. You're the shakeup. You're not always supposed to speak out on what you know, on what God told you. You have to use discernment when what you're saying is going to be taken in. Is this a person that you can, tell what, needs to be said so that you can get on the same page? Are they listening to you? Are you guys on the same frequency level? Then you look at yourself too, like, are you going to be okay if they don't agree with what you're saying? Are you going to be okay when they don't want to change, when they don't want to get on the same page at work, in your love life, in your groups, in your family dynamics? Are you going to be okay? Can you handle the fact that you're going to be called the goody two-shoe, or you're starting trouble, or you're going to be gaslit into all these different things because ultimately they're not doing it on purpose. They're not ready. They're not ready for what you got to hear, what you got to say. They're not trying to hear that. Can you handle that? Can you handle that as the person that shifts and shakes up things in your environments? Can you handle when your positivity is going to be turned around as you being negative? Can you handle that? Can you handle the fact that you're going to be met with a lot of resistance from others because you guys aren't seeing eye to eye. Can you handle that? Can you handle comments from those people that feel like you need to shut up? That things have been working this way this whole time, allow it to continue, whether it's toxic or not. Can you handle that? And some people will say no. Well, then you have a choice. You always have options. You don't have to stay around those people. You don't have to stay in those environments. But you can't force your will. You can't force your opinion onto nobody. And that's where it is. That's where it's at, guys. And so I brought this message to you guys for people that even when you say gaslighting, even when you say manipulation, you could only be manipulated if you allow it, someone to. You can only be gaslit if you allow somebody to gaslight you. Because even if you just said something to somebody and they gaslight you into thinking that you didn't just say this or you didn't just hear what you heard. No, you go within and you say, okay, you don't take it personal. You say, this person is in denial, or maybe they didn't hear it. Maybe they weren't listening, or maybe they're not ready. Maybe they're not ready to take in the information that they just heard. But they ain't gonna gaslight me. So that's when you go back to you. You say, well, I know what I heard. You process that information. You see how the other person responds. And then at that point, you may just have to leave it alone. You know what you heard. Don't allow someone to gaslight you. You know what you saw. Don't allow someone to gaslight you. Don't allow someone to manipulate you into thinking that you didn't hear what you heard. You didn't saw what you saw. You don't know what you know. But I'm telling you, people aren't ready for certain things that you have to say. They can't handle it. They may not be able to handle what is being presented to them. They may want to live in this sort of fantasy or whatever that their mind can only grasp. And I'll give you one more quick example. That's even with the Bible. Like I've said this before. And I'm referencing this book because this is the number one book that everybody has attempted to read, whatever, in the world. So even with that, me at one point saying I was a Christian, when you open the Bible up at age 18, it just looks like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. When I went back and I read the Bible in my late 20s, I was getting bits and pieces because I had experience. So some of the things I could relate to. So that made the Bible sound it was more pleasing. I could take in more information because I had experience. Because I was on a different level. Because my frequency may have changed. Now me taking in the Bible at this age, I'm able to decipher. I'm able to see the things that can apply to my life, the things that are not applying to my life. I can actually break it down into different things and use it as reference points in your life rather than taking everything to heart. You know, sometimes we will do that. So I'm just saying that to say we're all on different levels. We're all coming from what we've experienced, what we felt. Everybody's going to be on a different page in life. Don't allow yourself to be gaslit into never-ending battles where, what are you battling for? This person's never going to understand where you're coming from. Where you're trying to prove yourself and say, well, I know what I heard. They don't care. They're going to act like maybe they're not living in their truth. So they're going to act like you didn't hear what you heard. What is the point of arguing? What is the point of going back and forth with somebody if you guys are never going to meet in the middle? Because you guys may not have the tools. You guys may not have the experience. You guys may not have the background. You guys might not have the mental capacity to understand each other's viewpoints and come and meet in the middle. Sometimes meeting in the middle is just letting it go and continue to focus on the good. I'm asking you guys to use discernment to not get caught up in the small things, because that will distract you from your goals and from what is your bigger picture in life. Some of these situations, although they may seem petty, are here just to distract you. Some of these, situations temptations that we face every day may be just there to distract you from going where you are headed in life. Don't allow someone to manipulate what your truth is. Don't allow someone to manipulate you into not speaking out, speaking up for yourself. And again, even when you do, you still gonna be met with some resistance. People still ain't gonna agree with you. You might think that what you're saying is right, or this is how it can improve. They don't. They might not agree with you. And that's okay. We have to learn as people that are truth tellers, that are here to change the world, that are here, that God is sending us into special environments, certain situations. Some of these are just tests. Tests for yourself and how you will respond, and tests for these other people too. But that's for them and God to work out. That's not for you to try to work out that with them. For them to get to see your point. For them to take your advice. For them to grasp onto your wisdom. That's between them and God. So I just brought these messages. I want everybody to continue to grow, elevate on your journey. Ultimately, the things that you see on the outside can be applied to things that may be going on the inside of you. Maybe something that you can apply to your life. They might not listen to you. They might not agree with you, and that's okay. Focus on the things that you can change in your own life, that you can improve on your own life. If nothing else, it gives you more knowledge and experience on people and how they operate, how they work. Yourself and how you operate and how your mindset is and how you work. So every time that you're in these different situations, you're in these different work environments, these friendship groups, these family dynamics, and you see where certain things are kept a secret, or certain things are overlooked, or people aren't ready to have that conversation. That's a step. That's a big step for you to even be able to see that. For you to even be able to see where there could be changes and there needs to be changes. For you to even be able to see that there's certain things that people want to keep a secret and they're not ready to talk about it. And they may never be ready to talk about it, and that's okay. Go within. You know your truth. Your truth may not be someone else's truth, and that's okay. Turn it in. Focus on yourself so that you can be healthy, so that you can be happy, and you won't stay stuck on the things that are going wrong, because you can't change those. Even if you were sent to shake things up, that's for God. That's for God to do. You can only do what you can do, and you let God fight the rest. Let God handle the rest. Okay? So these are the messages. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.